Hey guys, welcome back to Year of the Full Moon. We're on episode 20 now.
Holy crap, That's too many episodes.
And luckily we're almost done with the movies. And with this one we got Puppet Master Axis Termination.
It's the culmination of this whole Axis Trilogy.
Yes. And did it disappoint?
It was very
Very
I think the whole trilogy is just, it's like, it's something that the next day you're like, I don't remember what happened in that movie.
I just remember it wasn't that good. So we'll talk about what we think of the whole Axis Trilogy and what we think of this movie in a moment. But plot-wise, immediately they kill off the two main characters of the last movie.
I can't remember. See, they were so meh that I forget what I even said in the last few. So when you just kill a main part of the last movie,
the last two movies.
This was 30 seconds into the movie, and it didn't really make any sense.
No, they just got shot dead. And then the guy who shot him immediately dies, and
some other dude.
The main character the new main character shows up and goes, "Hey, sorry."
Yeah, overall, it was just kind of costumes were bad, but
just
the whole trilogy, they're bad.
I would say the set designs were better than the last movie. Because we were talking about, The Office didn't look like it was just some seedy...
yeah, they made it look more like it's an office.
Thing. It looked legit.
The general's in it. And, for the army guys that are supposed to be in the 40s, they just got khaki, just regular dress shirts or whatever with ties. So that makes no sense. And then the general has his uniform just hanging up next to it, and it's a sergeant uniform from Vietnam era. So for World War II, it's not the pink and greens or whatever from the 40s, so it made no sense. So and it's the Nazis in this, they just wear a black button up with an armband, so it's just kind of
you can tell they didn't have a lot of money to put into it, and literally all of our complaints of the last two movies carry over.
So I'm not going to harp on uniform. I mean, they didn't use AK-47s.
Yeah, luckily it wasn't as bad in that regard.
Could be worse.
Axis Rising. What I would say was this movie, after they kill off the main characters, it was completely forgettable. I checked out early on. Pretty much the doctor who got away was the formula at the end. He just shows up dead, and now the Nazis have the formula.
They just bring up his name and just and they move a thing off the body, but the head's turned and it's dark, so it's not the same actor, obviously.
So pretty much it is brushed under the rug, a new plot line going on. The puppets are working for the U.S. still, and they're sent in to take down the Nazis who are still working
they were working for the U.S.?
Yeah.
I just thought they were working for the Nazis and turned on them.
No, the main puppets were working for the U.S.
I didn't know that. See? Yeah. It wasn't, that's why it wasn't good.
Because, why not? But yeah, then they take down the Nazis who also had the formula. Now, puppet-wise, Blade, Leech Woman, Tunneler, Pinhead, and Jester, they all come back in this one. Along with Six Shooter, he has a small cameo. He's shows up for one kill, and then he's down for the count. And then all the surviving bad puppets, which were Bombshell, Blitzkrieg.
Yeah, I forgot Bombshell's name, and I'm trying to convey who I'm talking about. And Frau Titty Guns over there. What, did she end up dying in this? Or
no, all of them were still
around
any
puppets
by the end.
Die?
No, I don't think any of the puppets. Honestly, the puppets were the least important part.
Yeah,
they weren't the plot of this movie.
The plot could have been there without the puppets. It was kind of weird. I think the other ones needed the puppets more than this.
This one is just honestly, it was all of these people, because the main Nazi villain now and this woman that he's working with, they both have some mystical power, and the U.S.
Which they don't talk about.
They don't talk about it.
It's just kind of they have mystical.
It's red kind of weird effect filter goes over them, and then they can't move. Honestly, there's not much to it. It didn't need the puppets. And even the puppet kills were pretty decent for these newer Puppet Master movies. They weren't awful.
Yeah,
some CGI, but also there's some
lot of good concepts that just just the concept of the kill made it good, but it wasn't executed good.
No.
Like, there's one where he's, like, inside somebody.
That would be my favorite. Blade kills someone, and then another Nazi shows up, and he, like, bursts out of the chest covered in blood.
Yeah, you see the knife, and then he just kind of comes out of it.
That was cool.
It definitely could have been done better. He could have, like, sliced and, like, slowly, like... You would. I don't even know how you do it, but I'm sure you could do it decently easy, but they probably don't have the money for it. So it was just kind of like somebody had a puppet and they just raised him up. It was a cool concept, and that's what made it cool.
Would that be your favorite kill?
Yeah, that'd be my favorite.
That was probably the coolest one. He was
There's
like
a lot of people getting shot, and they use CGI, which...
But then up close, he's like Blade stabs people or like tunneler drills into someone. It's real
by
blood.
Stab, we mean he just kind of goes like this. And
but like blood flies at the person.
There's a lot of fake blood.
But
it was the fake squibs that were just kind of like, I mean, not fake.
The CGI.
CGIs, I guess you'd call them squibs. They're not squibs. And I'm just like, they just do squibs at that point. It's better. It was bad. And like...
Some effects look pretty bad. Puppet wise,
you could tell they're starting to rely more on this. CGI.
They did we didn't know how this effect was done, but it looked like stop motion, but it didn't look quite quality stop motion with some puppets moving and they were like green screened in. We found out later when we watched the special features, like there was like a full Blade and Tunneler bodysuit, and then they like recorded them in front of a green screen and then just put them into smaller at the bottom.
Yeah, because we were looking and we were like, that doesn't look like CGI, but it just felt off.
It didn't look good.
They were chasing somebody, and I'm like, that just seems off. And then we watched one of the things. We're like, oh, okay, that's why it seemed off. It didn't look bad. It just seemed off.
I liked it better than someone just showing a puppet, like putting their hand right below the screen and going, "Hey, I'm a puppet." Hey.
Which they do. They started doing.
Puppet Masters vs. Demonic Toys looked exclusively that.
Yeah. So like. Definitely, by far, not the worst. Even the trilogy. It wasn't the worst thing that had Puppet Master labeled on it. It wasn't...
For the trilogy, though, I didn't think it was as entertaining as the second movie, and it wasn't as good, as well executed as the first one.
First one was probably my favorite. The first one had a lot of the same flaws in costume and stuff like that. The second one was probably the worst with costuming. The first one was bad. The second one, costuming, was really bad. And this one's just like, is better than that. It still had issues. Yeah. But like, because you could tell they didn't do any research. And the reason I pick on that for these three is because like the third Puppet Master, when they did Nazis and stuff, from just a guy that I decently know what military uniform should look like. And I'm like, I'm sure they got stuff wrong, but they more or less they did their research. They got, and those costumes cost money. Like, to get a good tailored, like, get the thing, you have to buy everything, which is expensive, and then get it tailored, which is going to add, like, money onto what the costume, and they did a good job. They had money back then.
Yeah, they don't know.
Now you could... I'm sure,
their Indiegogo is how they
and for what I'm saying, you could get cheaper stuff. You don't have to have everything ideal, but you could get cheaper stuff still, and it's still like, okay, at least it's the... Like I said, people that don't know anything about World War II or military or stuff probably won't get as annoyed about it as I am. And I wouldn't be so harsh on the series if they didn't do it really good another time. They did it really good, like better than a lot of these low-budget movies that do a period piece. And then they kind of just phoned it in. And it was like, if you do a little research, you could do better with that. And I don't think any time was spent on research. They're just like, we're going to go on eBay and buy whatever we can. Which, I know they go back to the Axis after this, so they might do better. Who knows?
Yeah. I would say overall, this might be my least favorite Axis one. Because I thought the first one was done the best.
First one was the best.
And even though the second one might have been done worse, it at least had... It was crazier in my book, as well as they introduced so many new puppets. In this one, they didn't introduce any new puppets.
Yeah, I would definitely say the introduction of puppets in the second one beats this movie.
And I didn't really like the whole like weird magic angle in this one either.
And then they brought the little midget guy that's in other movies.
Oh yes,
that was kind of cool.
The U.S. to combat the mystical Nazis is it's a guy with dwarfism. But he acts in a lot of full moon movies playing the same character. Now he was called Dr. Ivan Ivanov in this movie, but I have seen him in a movie called a show called Ravenwolf Towers, playing the exact same character in Full Moon. He's also in Decadent Evil 1 and 2 and Evil Bong.
Decadent Evil.
All he's playing the exact same character, and it doesn't matter what the timeline is. And whatever he's like a doctor in is always different, like theology and
so he has all these doctorates.
A vampire hunter in one of them apparently. It's just, it cracks me up, to be perfectly honest, that they keep using this guy. And it was so entertaining. That was probably one of my highlights, is watching this guy play the same character in an unrelated movie.
I mean, I've never seen a movie with him in it. I just like the idea that, hey, he's just this dude that pops up in these.
Because why not?
Kind of gives this, because there's already a very limited, weird cinematic universe where they sometimes bring stuff.
Evil Bong brings a lot of different franchises.
It's definitely not my favorite. Like, this is probably my least favorite of the Axis. I think the Axis overall wasn't a high for their series.
But wasn't a complete low, unlike Legacy and versus.
Yeah, a lot of what I badger on is they're doing a period piece, which, give it to them, they tried period pieces.
It's hard to do.
A lot of, especially little studios that try period pieces, are just abysmal. So, I mean, I give it to them. Like,
yeah, they try.
I've seen worse movies. I've seen worse, like, multiple trilogy-like movies. So it's worth a watch, and especially if you don't
like Puppet Master.
The plots were never really good, and don't get attached to anybody.
All I'll add is it was directed by Charles Bandigan, like he also directed Axis Rising, and it was made in 2017. It was completely crowdfunded. Well, maybe not completely, but it was very much crowdfunded on Indiegogo.
We watched something, and it was talking about how the
top contributors,
the top tier for the contributors got to be in the movie. So a lot of the Nazi henchmen were people that paid a lot of money to help out the movie. So they didn't
look like they should have been playing Nazis, but you know what? That's a great way. I admire that.
I respect that.
Yeah, I can get behind that.
Getting your fans that really helped you out
to be in the movie that you're making.
Yeah, I think that's really cool.
That's how these.
I think a lot of movies do stuff like that now. I mean, if you like the company or the franchise, you're more likely to donate anyway. But having something like that really encourages, hey, maybe donate some more.
Yeah, so I'm really glad Full Moon did that. I didn't love this movie. I didn't love the Axis Trilogy. I can get behind what Full Moon is still doing. They're trying to do what they used to do on a much smaller budget.
I would watch this trilogy probably again.
Not.
I don't remember what happened too much in it, to be honest. I forget. I get the basics of the first two. I'll remember probably the basics. I give it 2 months. I won't remember. I'll just remember, hey, they were this meh series in the Puppet Master. But, I've seen movies that I'm like, I will never touch again. They're so bad. I've had movies where I stopped watching 4 minutes into them just because they're that bad, which not much. And, it's better than the Asylum movies, I would say.
And it's better than some of the Demonic Toys crap.
Demonic Toys is just, I won't watch those again.
I like what Full Moon's doing, and I still respect it, even if I don't like this movie.
Yeah, I didn't like the movie. The franchise overall, I like Puppet Master. But the Little Trilogy, it's meh. It's not the worst thing I've ever watched, so I mean, that's a thumbs up. Yeah. I like what they did with this one. They got fans involved. I wonder if they do that in the other ones. I don't know much about them. So overall, good movie. If you want to just kind of have a casual movie to have on in the background, pay little attention.
And if you like Full Moon in general.
Yeah, if you like Full Moon, watch it.
And even though we're just talking about all this good stuff about Full Moon right now, we're going to say screw it for the next one as we watch Puppet Master, The Littlest Reich.